Hey, good evening. My name is Corey Griffith, and as I promised you before, we're going to start doing some different things on here. We're still going to have a biblical focus. In the interim, you may have a parrot behind me interrupt. He may say Coco or Hi Coco, something like that. So you keep behind, you'll see him at some point. I'll introduce him. We'll go through that. But tonight I want to focus on a story that I wrote several months ago. And it's the first story that I wrote about my grandchildren. And this one particularly is called The Silent Tempest, The Legend of Aurora June King. So Aurora, if you're watching this, this is all about you. It's a fictional story. It's set in the future, yet in the past, and it ties in with a whole bunch of other things. And as we go through, I'll give you more as you listen to each one of the stories. But this one was kind of fun to write. My granddaughter said she wanted to be a pirate. We talked about that. We kind of got some details down. And during that detail session, I wrote everything into it. And I created a couple of extra things. So with that, Aurora, one of my favorite granddaughters in the whole world, and I have several. So none of the rest of you get mad at me for that, okay? So Aurora June King, she had always known fear. Now, I don't mean that she was a chicken, because she wasn't a chicken, but she'd always known fear. She remembered the worst moment of her childhood. She was only about 5 years old. She was playing in the field behind her village when an older girl grabbed her. The girl wasn't well. Her mind, it wasn't quite right. Some of you know what I'm talking about when we talk about this. She wasn't in her right mind. Her mind worked in strange ways that no one understood. In fact, she didn't even understood sometimes what she was doing. And without warning, she wrapped her hands around Aurora's neck. Aurora clawed to get the girl's grip loose, but she couldn't break free. Her vision began to blur. Her lungs were burning, and she thought that she'd never see the sunrise or hear her mother's laughter again. Then something inside of her, the courage, welled up, and she kicked, she twisted, and tore herself free. Grasping for air, she ran as fast as she could, her legs trembling with fear. But she'd managed to get away, even though this older girl was much larger and much stronger. Her legs were burning, trembling as she ran away. The older girl didn't follow. In fact, the older girl didn't even realize what she had done, because remember, she wasn't in her right mind. She didn't understand. Her mind wasn't right, but the girl's mother knew what had happened. Days later, the woman cornered Aurora, the girl's mother. Anger just burning in her eyes, and she blamed Aurora for everything and warned her that if she ever said anything about what happened, that there'd be consequences. So that day, Aurora learned that fear wasn't just about being hurt. It was about being powerless. You can't do anything about it. She learned fear, the fear of not being able to go into her own fields behind her house and to play with her friends outside, for the fear that she would be attacked again. But from that point, Aurora swore one thing. She says, I will never feel that way again. I'll never be powerless. The time with Amanda choking her left her terrified. And then just a year later, the raiders came, and they might have had a parrot on their shoulders too. She could still remember that night, how the torches burned like monsters' eyes in the darkness. She was only 6. Remember the other year ago, the bad things that happened to her. She was crouched behind a barrel as men stormed the village. They were stealing, they were hurting, they were destroying. And a blade sliced her shoulder as she ran, pain searing through her like fire. And the blood began to well from her cut. And she thought that cut, like the fear of choking before, was going to kill her. That was the night after that. Remember, she said she's never going to be held to fear that again, but she would never be weak again. She determined at the age of 6, she'd never be weak again. Well, she had no home after that. No real family left except the memory of her father, Jake King. He'd been a legend, a warrior, a leader, and the only person to ever earn 5 bars on his belt. Aurora swore that she'd live up to his name. You see, wandering nomads came through about the same time as these people who attacked her village, and they found her, and among them were warriors. They were pirates and ninjas. Well, being pirates and ninjas, Aurora thought to herself, this is a fantastic way for me to make sure that, one, I'm never weak again, and that I never have to be afraid again. And so she trained harder than anyone. She learned to fight, to move without a sound, to strike without fear. Pain became fuel, and fear became strength. She tied her belt around her gi. It was red edged to remind her of the battles that she had survived. And if you take a look, this is kind of what she would have looked like at that time. You look at the picture there beside us. She tied the belt around her gi. It was red edged to remind her of the battles that she had survived. The 3 bars at the tip marked her mastery. Remember, her father was 5, but she had mastered 3, and she was ready. Standing at the helm of the Storm Whisper, she was no longer a scared little girl. She was a force of nature. And tonight, she would prove it. The Moonfang was her goal. The Moonfang was a special legendary dagger. Supposedly, the ore had been forged from a star that fell from the heavens long ago, and it had belonged to the ninja clans who raised her. And so it was a special item, but warlords had stolen it. Remember the warlords that came into her village and attacked her and cut her and damaged her and scared her to death? They had stolen it, passing it between thieves for power and riches, and now Admiral Vane had it. Admiral Vane was a cruel man. He ruled the seas through fear. He tortured innocent villagers going up and down the coast. He was doing foolish things, but Aurora was going to take it back. The Storm Whisper cut through the waves, closing in on Vane's massive warship as the sky darkened. When night had swallowed the ocean, Aurora disappeared into the shadows. Remember, she was silent. She couldn't be seen. She landed on the enemy ship without a sound, slipping past guards with ease. They didn't even know she was there. Her hazel eyes locked onto the steel doors of the treasure chamber, and her fingers worked the lock, listening for the soft click, click. Inside, under the golden glow of lanterns, lay the Moonfang. That blade shimmered unnaturally. It was almost alive. From the darkness, she heard, "You must have a death wish," the voice sneered. Aurora turned with her blades drawn. Admiral Vane stood at the entrance. He had a cutlass in his hand, a smirk coming across his scarred face. And Aurora says to him, "You may rule the sea," as she stepped forward, "but the shadows belong to me." Vane attacked, and his swings were strong. They were merciless. But Aurora was faster. Remember, she had trained. She moved like the wind, dodging, twisting, striking. And within moments, she had knocked his sword aside and pressed her blade against his throat. "You could have killed me," he growled. "I could have," Aurora agreed, picking up the dagger. "But monsters should know what it's like to be afraid. My elders taught me mercy and to forgive people who are wrong and don't know what they are doing. You, Vane, have no clue of the storm you triggered. But tonight the storm is done. The Moonfang will return to its rightful place." And with that, she vanished. By the time his men had sounded the alarm, the Storm Whisper was already disappearing into the mist. Aurora held the Moonfang in her hands, and she had a quiet smile kind of tugging at her lips. And the girl had once cowered in fear had become something that no force could tame. And the legend of the pirate ninja would live on. I hope you've enjoyed this short story. And Aurora June, I love you so much. Aurora is the youngest daughter of Autumn and Jake. And she is one of my most fun granddaughters who just has no fear and will do things and beg for forgiveness later. But I love her dearly. I can't go anywhere without her when she's around. And I want you to know, sweetheart, that I love you more than anything else. And your story's not done because it's going to be part of the book that I'm writing. So stay tuned if you want to hear more of these stories. The next one is about the fearless cowgirl. I've already told this story to my granddaughter, Reagan, and she's heard it before, but you get to hear it next. So join me next time for the fearless cowgirl. Thank you guys for listening. I hope you've had a great time. I hope you understand that as we go through these, that they're going to be biblically centered. Remember forgiveness. Forgiveness is an essential. We're commanded to forgive so that we may be forgiven. Don't believe me? Look up the Lord's Prayer. Read the Lord's Prayer and read what it says. We forgive those who are our enemies, those who have done wrong to us, so that we may be forgiven. Read it, listen to it, look it up. I'm not reading it to you on purpose because I want you to go do that. Thank you guys for listening. I hope you've enjoyed the story, and we'll be back